Hi folks, thanks very much for tuning in. Fat Ek here, Alec Anderson, fat man on a diet. You know I want to try it, but please don't beat my ass like a looter in a riot for having only 2 videos up on this here little channel of my own individual pod, if you like. And yeah, I'm already talking in seasons. I've only 2 videos up this season, 2023, 2024. It's a football channel, let's be honest. I'm just going to talk about Rangers here. I know I make a great play on the bio of this channel that it's going to be, you know, for litterateurs and cinephiles, and I'm going to talk about all sorts of stuff, not just football, far less just Rangers. And it turns out that that is actually all I can talk about. I don't know anything about literature. I don't know anything about cinema. I don't really know anything about Rangers, but it's just, you know, it's the only thing I want to talk about. It's the only thing I really care about. There's no point in trying to hide from that. If you're watching this channel, the only reason you're on it is because you know me probably through Jersnet. And Jersnet is the best Rangers podcast. It's the best football podcast. It's just the best podcast in the podding podosphere. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a privilege for me to be on it. It's an honour to be on it, and I'm kicking the arse out it, and I'm in danger of getting barred from it if I go on it any more often, because I've got so much spleen to vent. Misery loves company. It's good to share. It's the kind of gestalt session. I need to get it off my chest when Rangers are playing badly and doing badly as we have been this season, when things are going kind of wrong as it did go last season. Any season for Celtic win the treble is always a bad one for Rangers, even if we did finally qualify for the Champions League group stages and got scalped roundly therein. I need to talk, and that's why at the end of last season I'm on Jersnet too often. Oh, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that. You need to give folk a break, Alec. So I come on here, my own little corner, just to get it out my system, and my own little corner of the internet, my own little corner of the podosphere. And I set up a wee kind of individual channel to talk about. What did I do? I think I talked about the players that had left and the kind of mini clear out that Michael Beale was affecting at Rangers at the season's end. I rounded up my goal of the season, my match of the season, my player of the season, and it was slim pickings. But you know, the idea was I was going to keep posting stuff, and I don't know. It just seems to me that I stopped posting stuff, and there's reasons for that, which I will explain. Unlucky. There's reasons for me not posting as much stuff on this channel of late, and Rangers have gone right downhill of late. I've had I think I had a review of the 4-0 win over Livingston, their first home league game this season, and the only home league game we've won this season. And I did a preview of the trip to Geneva, the Lake Geneva shoreline, where we drew 1 each with Servette to get ourselves through to the next stage of the Champions League qualifiers into playoff round, our only real major success this season. And so I did those videos, kind of came after or resulted in victories and good results, even though a lot of people weren't too pleased with how we went through in Switzerland. And yeah, I haven't done any other pods, and the season's kind of fallen to bits so far. So, Alec, why would you do that? And this is the thing. This is another reason for setting up this wee channel here, because when I say to Frankie, who runs Jersnet, who owns Jersnet, and I say to Frankie, I know the editorial line's a bit strict here, mate, but I would just like to talk about the fact there seems to be some sort of kind of global, maybe universal, certainly a cosmic conspiracy that's channeling bad karma through the vessel, the host of my being, and thereby affecting Rangers Football Club. He says, no, like, I think we'll just stick to talking about why Dessers is getting played so often and why Danilo's no getting a go. And I'm fine, that's fine. I'm no longer going to be constrained by the sheeple at Jersnet. I'm here to talk freely about what needs to be talked about. There's something going on. Towards the end of last season, I said I was going to talk to you about the Scotland game. Scotland were playing Georgia at Hampden in the Euros qualifiers. We're playing Cyprus tomorrow night in Cyprus, and I was going to go along to that game, and I thought, oh, look at me with my exotic wee channel of my own. I can actually talk about something other than Rangers, even something as inextricably linked with Rangers as the Scotland national team, but it was just a wee bit exotic. But somebody out there, I don't know if God is a blue nose or whatever, has decided, no, that's out of order, and my channel was sabotaged. It all went wrong, and I'll tell you why. I think it's because I went to the Celtic end. I got a ticket for the East Stand at Hampden, and that game that night which I was determined to give you a wee report on. It's the wettest I've ever been at a football, the wettest I've ever arrived at a football match. And I was all set up to do a wee thing for you the next day, a wee video. But what's the wettest you've ever been at a football match? What's the most precipitation you've participated in when it came to watching people kicking a ball about? I saw Rangers at Capello in the mid-80s a game. I think we won 3-1. Ali Dawson got a couple of goals. It was kind of middle of the winter. I was up the back of the wee Dublin end, which I don't think's changed since then. I think they bought the roof of the old away stand. Well, there was a new stand at Love Street. St Mirren, their arch rivals. I'm sure I read somewhere that St Mirren had actually purchased that away stand at Love Street, which I sat in. The last time Rangers ever went to Love Street, and we got beat. Like I say, there's something going on in the cosmos. They've never erected it though, as far as I can tell, Morton. So I was up the back of the wee Dublin end, and it's that thing where they took away at some point in the 70s or early 80s, before I started going regularly to football, they'd taken away the stanchions, the crush barriers, and they'd erected these little kind of a foot high concrete benches, but on top of them, they'd finished them off with these kind of UPVC slidey plastic toppings that just, the minute anybody sneezed or had a particularly watery fart or something like that, it just became, an ice rink. So when you were standing on that and everybody stood on it because there was no roof, nobody's sitting down, and because it's January and because it's Greenock, there's no way you're moving about. Big boys up the top, even when I'd be like 15 at the time. So big boys up the back. I was still 6 foot even at that age. And the rain and the wind is whipping in after Firth of Clyde and right into the back of me. My wee Adidas Gazelles and my Lishark cardigan and all that stuff. Absolutely soaked through. Absolutely murder. But Rangers won. And there was a game where I went to see Hurlford playing Auchinleck Talbot at the end of a tumultuous season for both clubs. I was just doing the grounds. I'd never been to Hurlford before. I was trying to do the whole west of Scotland with the juniors. I'm quite anal retentive, as you're going to find out. And after 10 minutes, it was this time of year where, it wasn't this time of year, it was this type of weather, sorry. This time of year, September, is a bad couple of weeks for the climate change deniers. It was that same thing where it was really muggy because you're waiting for a storm, and the storm cracked. A packed place at Hurlford, I can't remember the name of the ground just now. Absolutely, 10 minutes in, just soaking, pitch was unplayable. Everybody just goes home, match was abandoned, and that was me. I'd done my season. It was kind of end of the season stuff. It was into June when the juniors start rounding up all their fixtures, and I went away home and I forgot all about it. And then I went out for a drink with my dad a few weeks later, and he took great delight in telling me, as he sucked a wee grouse and looked me right in the eye to say, it finished 5-4, the replayed game. That's your junior champions against the Scottish Junior Cup holders, as it was at the time. What a game. Would hate to have missed that, because he knew I had missed it. So that was the wettest I've been at a football match until I parked the car the night Scotland are playing Georgia at Hampden. You know what it's like trying to go to Hampden to watch Scotland or Rangers when I'm not having a drink, because basically I'm a kind of a lager and lime, a half pint of lager and lime away from having a heart attack or a stroke. So I try to avoid drink as much as I possibly can. Take the car there. It only takes me a wee while to get there, but parking restrictions everywhere. So I've got my wee spot picked out. It's about a mile and a half walk probably from Hampden itself. And as soon as I parked the car, but it was like golf balls hitting the top of the car, sheets of rain, literally. You couldn't see 2 yards in front of you outside the car. It just got to the point though where I knew I was going to have to move. I've got my little kind of cheapo old man Decathlon Adidas trainers that are made of like paper. I had my shorts on, cheapo t-shirt, and a $7.99 Kugel that I think I also got from Decathlon. Out I went, got about 3 or 4 steps, and it come on again, and it was so bad. I mean, it was just absolutely lashing down. It was truly biblical stuff. And there was an actual fight on Cathcart Road, grown men fighting like passengers fighting over the last lifeboat in the Titanic to stop guys getting into a close. There's no room in this close that people would get into for any more to get on board, to get out of this rain. People are desperate to go out of the rain, and people are getting shoved back out because there's no room, and yous are wet. It was actual fights between adults to get out of the rain in a packed close in Cathcart Road. And so I just kept going. And you didn't even know there was holes in the ground in these places that suddenly had 4 or 5 foot puddles in them. By the time I got right down Leatherby Drive, along past the main stand, because I was gone to the Celtic end, my own fault. The queues were massive because it's a bit of rain in Scotland, and Scotland doesn't get a lot of rain, but I hadn't seen rain like this, to be fair, in a long time. everybody's soaked to the skin in this queue, and the problem is most people have got the e-tickets, they've got the tickets on their phones, and they're trying to, this is me doing the hand actions here, you're trying to swipe away at your phone, but the phones are already so wet because you're soaked to the skin, everybody's just soaked clean through, and then the fact that the rain is still hitting the front of your phone the way it was, the absolute deluge that it was, you're not making any contact. The phone's not picking up any contact from your fingers. So folk couldn't get into their phones. That's taking so long to get into the ground, and I thought I was going to miss the kick-off, and I hate missing kick-off. I hate leaving before the end. I never do that. I'm a real anal retentive when it comes to the football. I had to get in. But luckily, because I'm such an anal retentive, I like to get a kind of paper souvenir of the game. So I had printed off a paper ticket and just rolled it up, put it in my wallet without really thinking about it, folded it up and stuck it in the wallet. But it was because I've got so many 50s and 20s in my wallet, because I'm totally minted, it managed to survive just enough. I've got it here though. Look at the state of it. All the dye has run, all the ink, the little diagrams of the stadium where you're supposed to go to, completely run. The only bit of the ticket that was left dry was the QR code at the top of it. So, miracle of miracles, I managed to get in just in time for the game kicking off. And I'm sitting there, the game's going away, it's absolutely horrific conditions. And then Callum McGregor, the Celtic captain, scores a goal right in front of me. The Celtic captain scores into the Celtic end, and I go a massive schluck noise. I pull my kind of unsuction my fat soaking ass out of this plastic bucket seat, and I cheer because I didn't see Scotland scoring. But somebody, the god of karma, has said, "Alec, you're a Rangers fan on the Celtic end, cheering the Celtic captain score." I think this is what's happened. The game then gets postponed or held up, and you'll know the story. The game, a total of 90 minutes, but they're telling you it's going to be held up for 10 minutes. All the tannoys, it's 10 minutes, okay, right? It's 20 minutes, all right, okay, it's going to be half an hour. In total, it was 90 minutes. I could have actually gone home, got a full change of clothes, and come back, but no, my punishment was to sit there drying out as a 20-stone man soaked to the skin. Not fun at all, but I was occupying myself by taking a few photographs of what was going on, and I think I even posted a wee short on this channel of mine the next day, which I'd taken a wee video of the lads out clearing the stuff, of clearing the excess water off the top of the pitch. They didn't. It was unplayable. It's only because it was a UEFA sanctioned match live on the telly that it went ahead. It was in absolutely terrible conditions for a football match. And they were playing AC/DC on the famously loud Hampden tannoys. Thunderstruck. Oh, that's great. So I popped a bit of that up on Tinternet the next day. Phone was fine, but as I got home that night, I was looking at the phone and it was starting to get these kind of lines appearing down the screen. Scotland won 2-0, and Kvaratskhelia, Zurab Kizanishvili, he missed the penalty right at the end, right in front of me. That was great fun. It was worth hanging about for. But as I got home, as I say, I just noticed that these lines, this is the phone here, were appearing. See the lines down the side there? Yes, my screensaver is cakes. I am not going to try and hide it. These lines were appearing, and I was suddenly having trouble getting into my phone, so immediately I packed it into the rice. They also say, the phone needs to dry out. You see in detective films and that, get it into the rice. And then I looked up on the internet and it said that was a total old wife's tale, and it ruined the curry as well, to be honest. And as I was looking up on the internet what you should do and what you shouldn't do when your phones get water damage, it said the one thing you definitely shouldn't do, only a child or an absolute idiot would do, is take a hairdryer to it. So I switched off the hairdryer at that point because I'd been in about it for a good 10-15 minutes, right up the wee holes for the microphone and into the wee bit where you shove the jack for the headphones. I was right in there blasting it the hottest possible setting on the hairdryer. Frazzled it totally ruined the phone, but I still had to wait a couple of days to make sure, it's an expensive item for me. It's on a contract. I'm still paying off the handset. And I couldn't really post anything. It's the phone that I shoot these wee videos on. And next thing, Glastonbury starts. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust anybody who says that they can't wait for the new season to start again. It's the kind of person who probably wears a Brazil top to a beer garden, for a live screening from a Euros or a World Cup, and starts talking about a beautiful game and all that kind of thing. If you put as much kind of emotional investment into your club as I do, as you guys do, you need a break. You need to recharge the batteries. You need the summer off. I don't mind if it's a World Cup or a Euros is on, because half the time Scotland haven't qualified. There's no real emotional investment there. You can just sit back and enjoy football from exotic locations and lovely stadiums, just watch it in the telly. It's a wee bit of a holiday, a kind of busman's holiday, if you like, from the game itself, from Rangers. But when we've been beaten 7-1 by Liverpool, we've sacked a manager because he's losing at St Johnstone, despite that manager having got to a European final. And, you know, you then get Michael Beale coming in. And I was at Hampden. I was at both the games at Ibrox, obviously, against Celtic. I didn't go to Parkhead, but I went to Hampden, the two games where we lost by a goal in both the cup competitions to Celtic, having no really turned up. It was just a horrible season. You really need a break for that stuff. You need to recharge the emotional batteries. So when folks say, can't you wait for the season to start, I don't get that. And what happened, I wanted to get it out of my system. I just wanted to talk about the Scotland games I say on this channel, but then the phone isn't working. I sit down and I start watching, I think it was Glastonbury, and that was it. I think I was crying at one point. I watched every single act I possibly could at Glastonbury. I had no interest in half of them. Normally I wouldn't, I'm just an old man, music's kind of passed me by, even though, you'd Morrissey, no Morrissey, you had Johnny Marr appearing with the Pretenders, while that other guy, Rick Astley, was doing the Blossoms, or whatever they call them. He's doing Smith songs in another tent. It was really weird, but I was watching everybody, wee guys like drill and all that. I just, I wouldn't embarrass myself by trying to say I knew anything about it. Watched a lot of it, because I just needed to unwind. And then it was time to go on holiday. I'm starting to forget about the football. The phone's not working. It's time to go on holiday. And I know I like to take photographs on holiday, so I need to get a new phone. I got this cheapo job that I'm talking to you from right now, just to tide me over until my contract kind of runs down and I can get a new handset. Went to Rotterdam. This is related. Went to Rotterdam. I'm lucky enough we can have like one holiday during the summer, during the close season, let's be honest. If we've got the money, and particularly after COVID, definitely try to make the best of it. Go abroad for a week, and then have a week somewhere later on in the summer, somewhere in Britain, somewhere in England, or that. Have a week in a self-catering week. Then there, just a couple of different types of holidays for a week each. Went to Rotterdam. Never been to Amsterdam before, but never been to Rotterdam. Absolutely brilliant place, like a bit like Berlin, a kind of mini Berlin. Same vibe. They've both been flattened during the war and completely rebuilt since 1945, but chilled out, really interesting place, totally multicultural, lots of places to eat and drink and what have you, lots of interesting buildings going on. It's fantastic, really loved it. But you just jump on, you get the plane, Schiphol, then you get it's about half an hour on the train into Rotterdam. We booked this a week in this place. It's a kind of self-catering hotel type thing where you've got your reception and there is staff to come in and clean the bedrooms and that if you want, but you've got a wee cooker in your room, so you don't have to be bothered by anybody all week. You just come and go as you please. You're getting your own breakfast and stuff like that. That was absolutely fantastic for us. So we did that. And it's straight across the road from Rotterdam Central Station, which is a beautiful building. I loved Rotterdam Central Station. Just get yourself along. They go and see Feyenoord. Did the tour of the Kuip as well. That was out of this world. They were different level. So nice. The opposite of the reception Rangers fans get when we go there competitively. But yeah, Rotterdam's a fantastic place. But we go to reception, and the Dutch have got a reputation for being, well, a bit harsh. They come across as a bit harsh to our kind of uptight, super polite British sensibilities, or our kind of Celtic idea of hospitality, whatever you like. Sometimes the Dutch come across a bit. And it's just because they're so chilled out, they're so pragmatic, and they're already doing you the biggest kind of politeness of all by speaking to you in your own language. They don't just talk to you in English. They could talk to you if you're Spanish, whatever. They suss out where you're from. It's not just like an English speaker. They can tell straight away, oh, you're Scottish. It's like, how's your mum getting on, Alec, and blah, blah, blah. You still eating the cakes, mate? Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic what they do, but they have this kind of pragmatic thing where they can come across no pleases and thank yous sometimes, and maybe take that the wrong way. But we went up to reception, my wife and I, when we arrived from Central Station with our suitcases, and it's a usual thing where it's a young woman behind reception. She was just on her own, and she's very straight faced, not very smiley or anything like that, but that's fine. She was getting us all booked in and sorted, and she's like, "And have you been to Rotterdam before?" And we're like, "No, we have not." She's all, "I'll give you a map." Oh, that's very nice. Thanks very much. So it's not standard. You get that a lot. Obviously, somebody comes and gives you a reception. You get a map of the city, and here is the map of Rotterdam that she gave us, just kind of standard fare, as you would think. But what then happened was we were like, "Oh, thanks very much." She's like, "No, I will show you the city centre." And I thought, well, can we get a shower on that first? But no, she meant she was going to show us it on the map. She got a biro and while maintaining a super straight face, she started drawing, kind of delineating the city centre within the map of Greater Rotterdam. Get up and down the streets with this blue pen, and I don't know if you can see it there, but what happened was maybe about kind of halfway through, 2/3 of the way through. By the time she was finished, it was okay, but it looked like a giant cock and balls. Let's be honest. It looked like she was drawing a massive cock and balls with this blue biro. And I'm saying halfway through and 2/3 of the way through because she kept stopping. She'd be drawing a bit, and she'd look up, and she'd look me directly in the eye, and she'd look my wife directly in the eye. We're kind of, she's like, straight faced, back down, and keeps going. And we thought, she's just drawing a big cock and balls. You used to see when the teacher would go out in class when you were at school, and by the time they come back, there was the classic cock and balls up on the blackboard, which, to be honest, for me now will always look like two kind of verdant ring roads and a tumescent dual carriageway, probably maybe a canal going up the middle. But I thought, by the time she'd finished, there was luckily it was a dead end street somewhere, and all that. There was a windmill she had to get round, and that kind of took the shape away from it generally. But we were killing ourselves going up in the lift to our room, thinking that was hilarious. She's definitely saying to us, "Fuck you," And I thought this is going to be interesting. And then the next fuck you was we got into the room, into the hotel room, whatever it is. No bath, not a wet room, just an old style shower, and it was flooded. Now, I don't know, but the Netherlands, the Dutch, tulips, windmills, expansive football, kind of advanced social policies. What else? But what are they more famous for, even than all Van Gogh? What are they more famous for, even than all that? Irrigation, managing water. Half the country would be underwater. They basically reclaimed half of the country for the North Sea by their ability to stop things flooding. And we've got the only room in the whole of the Netherlands where that isn't happening. I sorted it straight away. It was absolutely manky. I managed to sort it straight away. Then we said to Mrs. Cock and Balls at reception, but no, it never got sorted the whole time we were there. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is a bit weird. I'm in the Netherlands and I'm getting flooded. And then we went on a day trip on the Saturday. We went on a day trip to The Hague. Den Haag, The Hague, the kind of, it fights it out as the capital of the Netherlands with Amsterdam. It's just about 30 minutes along the train line, so over to Rotterdam Central Station, away to Den Haag for the day, get there. That's my train ticket there, it's a wee Dutch train ticket there, they're quite nice, you get your wee card, you can get on the trams and all that with that. It's absolutely fantastic. And Den Haag's fantastic, a great place. That's a pod in itself. It's like a 1/4 Blackpool, 1/4 kind of fairy tale palaces and lakes and what have you. 1/4, war criminal trials, and 1/4 Cumbernauld. Some of the architecture is absolutely, it's an insane place, really interesting. It was absolutely mobbed, it was absolutely roasting. It's a Saturday afternoon, and I'm walking through, and just above the hubbub, this really loud voice, I heard the guy talking, so I turned round, and he's wearing there's a guy sitting at a cafe, outside a cafe, and he's wearing a PAOK Salonika top. He's black and white stripes, the Greek side, PAOK Salonika, he's wearing a top. And yeah, all I'd been thinking about, never mind, I'm talking about the culture and the war crimes committees and that kind of thing. All I'm thinking about when anybody mentions The Hague is Dick Advocaat. I've gone a long way. The first thing I did was looked up on Wikipedia, and it was Dick Advocaat played for Den Haag. I think he was born in Den Haag, and he'd been their manager. He was still their manager when I was there. He went there last season, and basically I think he'd kind of come out of retirement just to save them from relegation to the third tier, and he retired again eventually, but when I was there he was still Den Haag manager. And I'm looking going, that's PAOK Salonika, that's the second team that Dick Advocaat played in Europe when he became Rangers manager, in the first season as Rangers manager. And I thought that was a coincidence. But then I'm also thinking Dick Advocaat was the last time Rangers lost the opening game of the season, the opening league game of the season in the top flight, was Dick Advocaat was the manager. And we lost at Tynecastle. And the next game we played was against PAOK Salonika at Ibrox. Then PAOK Salonika end up, a week or so after, a few weeks after my holiday, they draw Hearts in the Conference League and they play at Tynecastle. And then Rangers lose the opening league game of the season against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park under Michael Beale. First time we've done that in the top flight since Dick Advocaat. And I don't know, I just feel as if something's going on, because that day, I'm already I'm in the Netherlands. I'm thinking about Dutch football a lot, obviously, because that's how my brain works. But we get the train back to Rotterdam, and it's the Eindhoven train. The end of the line is Eindhoven, and I'm thinking, oh, how exotic to be on holiday in the Netherlands. Never been to Eindhoven, but it's magical to think if I'd have stayed in this train, I'd end up in the Netherlands, in Eindhoven. And I'm thinking, of course, about how we'd beaten them the previous season in the Champions League qualifiers and in the playoff rounds, and we'd beat them in Eindhoven. We'd had a great record in Eindhoven, and it was 4 times we'd been there, and we hadn't lost once, and we won 3 of those games. And it turned out Eindhoven was indeed the end of the line for Rangers' Champions League hopes this season. It was and it was, they beat us by 4 goals like the 4 times we've been there before. But I don't know. It just feels as if something was going on, and had been allowed to do my wee football patter, and it's like that was starting to affect things. And we went to Ludlow. We went down to Shropshire later on in the summer, and lovely. We drove down there, hired a car. They wanted to give me an upgrade at the car hire place, Enterprise Rent a Car. They wanted to give me the upgrade to an automatic. And I'm like, no, I'm old school. I've not had time driving an automatic for a while. I need to just, do the stick, as the Americans call it, because I want to relax and enjoy my holiday. And it's all the way down to Shropshire, Lovely part of the world, never really explored it properly. So it's good. Shropshire, Herefordshire, stayed in a lovely wee kind of cottage house in Ludlow. And one day I'm getting through, the day before we're due to come back, ye olde world streets of Ludlow town centre have got ye olde bricks that are the same colour on the pavement as they are on the roadside, and I went over my ankle outside ye olde W.H. Smith's and had to do it proper Italian centre forward style, taking a dive, because I knew, I used to go over my ankle all the time playing fives. I got a bit of chocolate ankle on the left. That's what I just stood at the edge of the curb. Over I went, stone cold sober. I was heading to the boozer, but I was stone cold sober at the time. Just goes right over the ankle, away it goes. I had to roll, had to go for it. I was going to break the arm and skull and everything, and I gave it a yelp as well. My wife, who was just in front of me in these tight wee streets, she just saw me coming down. She's thinking, yeah, beauty, here we go. That heart attack, that stroke he's been trying to have for the last 10 years, he's really earned it. Finally, he's got it, and I am free. But no, it was just the old chocolate ankle going up like a balloon. Just a sprain, but it's had to limp back to the digs and what have you. We have a couple of pints first, but I had to limp back to the digs, and the next day we're due to go up the road. I've knocked back the chance for an automatic, so I've got to be using the pedal as my left foot, and I've got it strapped up, and every time I'm pressing it all the way from Shropshire to Glasgow. It's absolute agony. It's up like a balloon. It's only me that's on the insurance, but I couldn't let my wife drive because I'm insured to drive it. So that went a bit wrong, and I'm trying to ignore the fact that the season's starting again, and then Rangers are playing Hamburg and Olympiacos. I know we've got with Newcastle, we went away to Hoffenheim as well, but the 2 teams that I'd never seen before, and I really wanted to see for all sorts of anorak reasons, all sorts of anal retentive reasons. Never seen Olympiacos, only one of the megaloid tries, the big 3 in Greece that I hadn't seen, and Hamburg is the only team that's won the European Cup of Champions League that I've never seen in the flesh. So I had to go and see them. And I had to hop. I was supposed to pick the leg up. I'd done it before when I was playing fives, but I wasn't 22 stone at that point. I wasn't a 54-year-old. So the recovery's been a bit longer. You're supposed to get the ankle up in the air. Look, I'm even sitting here. I've got the wee ice pack there. And I couldn't, that's the thing, I couldn't do these videos in this wee room because there's no way for me to put my leg up and be able to. I had the laptop, trying to type in the laptop, but I'm going to sit in my boobs and I couldn't really see what was going on. And if I'm trying to do a pod lying back with my feet up in the air, my face just doesn't. It's, the 3 chins really start wallowing all over your face if I'm lying back. So that you don't deserve to have to see that. It was bad. It was really poor. And I'm going to Ibrox to see these games, so I had to go and see them. So the ankle, which really should have been up in the air, I should have been resting, it's starting to swell up again. Then it was the Jersnet day out. Frankie's getting the pints in. Had to go to that as well. I think that was a Livingston game. So That's the ankle. I'm walking all the way up the road. I can't take the car to that. I'm walking all the way up the road for the underground for that one. So, yeah, I'd not really been helping the ankle get better. And I'm doing these match reports for, as I said to Jersnet, I would do the post-match pods. So I'm doing these post-match pods standing outside Ibrox while this thing's swelling up like a balloon. And I'm saying, we don't look good. We don't look good. But folk are saying, getting back to me going, but it's only pre-season. What are you panicking about? I said, I know it's only pre-season, but I just have to say we don't look that good. And then the season just carried on not being good. It started off bad at Kilmarnock. We scraped past Morton in the League Cup. We beat Servette. That was massive, but I'm convinced what's happened is that was just to make sure we get in the Europa League group stages where we'll finish third and we're going to get PAOK Salonika, who are in the Conference League. We're going to finish third, drop into the Conference League, and PAOK Salonika are going to beat us probably 4-0, and we're going to have to get Dick Advocat in as manager. The whole thing's linked, folks. It's definitely linked. There's something going on, and the absolute scalping we got in Eindhoven, that's just something that happens. That was nothing to do with being on the train. The Sunday before it, a week past on Sunday, free Sunday, I went to B&Q and needed some lamps. Got 2 of them. 15 quid each, something cheap as chips. These lamp systems needed new lamps, and got them. And I realised that PSV's nickname is the Lampin. Their nickname is Lampin. I've got a few nicknames, obviously, but the Philips Sport Vereniging. They're a works team for an electrical company who make light bulbs, who make lamps. These aren't the Philips lamps, they're cheap tat, but I'd done it and I thought, that can't be right, Alec. You're taking this too far. They beat us 5-1. Everything that happened in the Netherlands, everything that happened to me in Rotterdam is just saying, Holland hates you. You're getting it. When you get back home, Rangers are getting it because you're getting it. Room was flooded. The train to Eindhoven, end of the line, Champions League, they scalped us 5-1. It was absolutely humiliating. And you're thinking that's that thing, that the lack of control you have as a football fan over what goes on the pitch. You're just inventing stuff to make it feel as if it was something to do with you. That's fine. So we get scalped on a Wednesday night by Eindhoven, absolutely murder. But to review that game and then to preview the next game, Celtic at Ibrox, and really so many Rangers fans were saying they didn't care about Europe this season. They just wanted to concentrate on winning the league, and the main thing was to start well in this first Old Firm game of the season. I'm doing the preview pod with Brian on Jersey, and to get the room ready, to set up this background you see before you, this glorious background, I had to change my calendar over. I get 3 calendars now, it's old school calendars. No, you change the page for the month, and that's another kind of superstitious thing. You have to make sure you're up there getting the calendar changed as soon as possible. And I should have been sat up at midnight the 31st doing it straight away, but no, I left it, we're told, I think it was the following evening, the 1st of September, Friday the 1st of September, previewing the Celtic game, and I switch over this calendar behind me, and it is a painting by, it's called The Aviary, which features parrots. There's parrots, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't. And it's by an English fella, but he was part of that school of painters known as the Glasgow Boys, just at the end of the 19th century. And the painting itself is dated 1888. It's just obviously it's just a print, it's a Borough collection paintings, because I'm into art, I'm cultural, I'm posh, and you can tell that obviously. It's a Christmas present. So I've got this painting that I open up, the picture of a painting, and it's by one of the Glasgow Boys, 1888. And I'm thinking this can't be right. And sure enough, by Sunday, I am sick as a parrot. We're all sick as parrots. It was horrible at Ibrox on Sunday there. I know everybody is really desperate for us to start getting trophies on board, and particularly domestically, and we've got a terrible run against Celtic over the last couple of years, and we're looking to rectify that, and I won the other day. I was devastated. You can see my post-match reaction on Jersnet. And I'm really befuddled, bemused, bewildered by the manager's tactics or lack thereof. There was a real chance going, but the reaction at the end, I know so many people need Rangers in a massive way. It's a major part of our lives, and we're all feeling it really badly. But I think the reaction at the end, where we're booing the players so vociferously, so viciously, I just felt it was too much. It was certainly pretty dark anyway. And I'm trying to get out the ground. And that's my thing. What I do is I applaud Rangers round the pitch. I will applaud them round the pitch. At the end of every game, unless I think the performance has been crap. I'm not going to wait until every player's off the park or something. Just give them a kind of perfunctory wee bit of applause and out I go. But I say I wait to the end of every game. And if they don't do the visit, if a particularly bad performance, then I won't clap them. And to me, that's a big deal, and they should realise that. And they don't, because Ibrox are usually empty by the end of most games, win, lose or draw anyway. But for some people, that wasn't enough, and the players are just doing it. It's to thank you for turning up. It's no a lap of honour. They're attempting to go on. So Michael Beale's getting slagged for going straight down the tunnel and trying to hide. He's been cast as trying to hide from the fans, not facing the music. Whereas the players have been castigated for having the temerity to actually thank us for turning up. One of the angriest, before Sunday, one of the angriest I ever saw a fellow Rangers fan at the end of a Rangers game at Ibrox. It must have been during the 2004-2005 season, Helicopter Sunday, because Fernando Rickson was the captain. And we had a bad performance anyway. It must have been a bad result. I can't remember who it was or what the score was. I don't think it was Celtic anyway. But Rickson was straight down the tunnel. It could have been because Celtic beat us Ibrox towards the end of that season anyway. Rickson had gone straight down the tunnel, and this guy was like, he's going straight down the tunnel. He's the captain. He should be thanking the fans for coming. That's totally out of order. And I thought, well, you can't have it both ways. That fellow is right as far as I'm concerned. That's the players trying to say thanks to the fans on Sunday, and they were getting absolutely berated. And I'm on that. When you're trying to leave, it's like you're trying to come out your seat, and it's like a bottleneck where you all arrive in the aisle at the same time, and you can't get through the vomitory quick enough, and it's just everybody's taking it really slow. There's no way to go. And as a fella, all these boos are going on. As a fella looking, he comes out and he's kind of looking at me and he just makes eye contact. I don't know the guy to talk to, and he just goes, "You can't be booing your own players." And I'm like, "No, you can't." And then a fella came to the other side and he looked at me as well. My face must have been telling a story. And he's like, "You can't be booing your own players, mate." And I agreed with the guy, but in agreeing with him, I'd obviously been trying to keep it, and I agreed with him far too vociferously. I started just going on a rant, a really petulant, sweary word, insult-laden rant, which was just me venting what I thought was my anger at people who were booing the players. But I was just venting my anger that we'd get beat out of Celtic. I was trying to think I was better than that, and I was just venting my anger at that. And if that guy's watching this, I apologise to him, because he was just like, "All right, but you've lost it," and away he got the head down and just let me get on with it. And I pushed through. I thought, I'm not going out. I walked across towards the director's box. It is basically away from my own where I sit. And I thought, I went to clap the players. I'm thinking, no, you're going against your own principles just to go against fans. And a couple of boys appeared, boys are in their 30s or whatever, they appeared just outside. They come flying down for the back of the main stand, and they were just leaning right over. Shit, fucking, Tav, get to fuck, goals, you get to fuck. And I'm like, if I applaud the Rangers players now, it's going to be incitement to these guys. But at the same time, I'm only going to applaud them anyway because of these guys, because of that reaction. I'm trying to go against it, and I could see the Rammies that were going on in the Broomlin, and it was just this whole kind of dark atmosphere and miasma of confused emotions. I just didn't really want to get into it. I needed to get out. I just needed to get out. It's been a while. In fact, I think that's the worst it's ever been. I've actually felt that. Just get me out of here. Before anything daft happens, and I've got a swollen ankle, and I can't find my way out of a paper bag, and I just don't want to be phoning with Rangers fans anyway. It's just a bad look and a bad vibe. It was time to get out and just kind of calm down a bit. But yeah, look, if we want to get rid of the manager, I can totally understand why. It doesn't seem to be happening at all under Michael Beale. For me, I'm like, it is a new squad. It has got all these new players in. It is only September. But if we're going to get rid of that manager, particularly when we've got rid of the previous manager, after a year, just under a year, we get rid of Gio. It would be even less than a year now, we're getting rid of Michael Beale. You need to know exactly why you're doing that and be sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, particularly when the new manager who comes in is going to be working with the players that this manager you've just sacked has enlisted during the summer. So it's a horrible situation. It's no good enough. Obviously it's nothing to do with me not posting any videos, but things have got so desperate that I'm starting to think I need to be posting more videos on this wee channel of mine to help Rangers out, and I promise you to do that, they will all be a lot shorter. But that's just me explaining what happened to me during the summer, folks, and why I should be back on here more often. Hopefully it's just going to be a case of the season will get so much better that we'll not have that much to talk about anyway. We'll just be letting our team do the talking for us. Here's hoping. Thanks, guys.